right, those are all the stories that we needed to cover for today, folks. So let's head over to our NFL team refresher. We've done a couple teams already. We've done the Washington football team, the Raiders, the Broncos, and the Saints. So now it is time for a new team. We will spin the wheel, see what team we get, and go over what they did last season record-wise, just kind of overall where they compare to the other teams, what they did in this offseason, who they brought in, what did they lose, who did they get in the draft, and then we'll walk through their schedule this year and see how many wins we can see this team getting in winnable games and all that, and then we will kind of rank them. We have a working list here. This is how we see the four teams stacking up so far. Out of the Washington, Raiders, Broncos, and Saints, we like the Washington team the best, Raiders the second, Broncos the third, and the Saints the fourth. So we'll see where this new team is going to kind of fall in line between these other teams. So let's just get right into it. We'll talk about a quarterback battle if that's one of these teams that have a quarterback battle, and just talk it all through. So let's see which team we are going to be covering today. So let's spin this wheel. Wheel is spun, wheel is spinning, wheel is slowing down, and today's NFL refreshing team is going to be the Detroit Lions. Alrighty, folks, I can keep it real simple for y'all. Y'all don't want to stick around for this video. Lions going 0-17. They're trash. They got Dan Campbell. He's trash. The entire team is trash. That's our team refresher. Thank you. We'll be back tomorrow, live noon Eastern, doing another team refresher. A team that will actually win a game this season. Goodbye. All right, let's give this Lions team the benefit of the doubt, shall we? Let's not shit on Dan Campbell too much, even though we've been doing it already so much so far this offseason. So let's talk about Dan Campbell really quickly. Let's talk about Dan Campbell. He's the biggest elephant in the room. The man doesn't know anything. He doesn't know what a head coach in this league is, folks. Let's break down the circumstances, the instances that we've already seen from Dan Campbell. He wore the race car helmet to the press conference because he was like some part of a Detroit Grand Prix or something. So he comes into the press conference with the helmet on, and his voice is muffled and all that. So that was his first thing he did. And then we heard the kind of day one quote from him where Dan Campbell said, hey, I'm not going to carry around your toilet paper. I'm not going to wipe your butt. You're going to wipe your own butt, and you're going to earn, respect is going to be given, or respect is going to be given until you lose it or something like that. So once again, just real baseline stuff. Nothing that really sold me. I never got pumped for that. I thought it was a real kind of mediocre, subpar, very, 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 very baseline thing to say. I kind of said that's something you say in kind of pee-wee football when you're introducing kids to the game. Hey, this is a grown man's game, and we're going to learn it here, folks. We're going to learn the fundamentals. Hey, I'm not going to wipe your butt out here. We're kind of grown men. As soon as you step out on that football field, I know you're only 10, 11, 12 years old, but now we're kind of grown men. I'm not going to wipe your butt for you. You're going to have to wipe your own butt. And that gets a little giggle out of the kids. Oh my God, he said butt. Hey, it's funny. But, when you say that to like 25, 30, 35-year-old grown men, and you tell them, I'm not going to wipe your butt for you, you're going to have to carry around your own toilet paper, that falls flat. That gets no motivation. Nobody buys into that. So once again, kind of strike two for Dan Campbell. And then we just saw what he did a couple days ago, doing the up downs with the team. And yeah, in principle, in theory, that is really good. But he wasn't even doing them the best. He wasn't touching his chest to the ground. He was kind of dogging it. He wasn't seeing the other players dogging it. We were counting like 3 players dogging the up downs there. So yes, in principle, oh my God, yeah, coach is one of us. Coach is getting down and dirty with us. Coach is practicing with us. Coach isn't telling us something that he would never do, that he can't do. Coach is with us. Yes, in principle, in theory, that gets a little respect from the team. But then we saw Dan Campbell really winded after that and catching his breath and not even looking at any of the players, and none of the players kind of coming up to Dan Campbell and patting him on the back being like, yeah, coach. So that one kind of fell flat as well. I don't think anybody respects Dan Campbell on this team. It sucks. It's unfortunate, but it's just not head coach material. I can't get behind Dan Campbell, folks. I can't. Everything that we've seen is just like, yeah, I can kind of see this is your first time head coaching in the league, and I'll give him the benefit of the doubt from that, but still, I can't get behind it. So let's quickly take a look at Dan Campbell's coaching history. What has this man been doing? I know he's been a tight ends coach. He was just the assistant head coach to the Saints. And once again, hey, you get to learn under Sean Payton. But Sean Payton would never do any of this. I don't see Sean Payton doing anything that Dan Campbell's doing. So you either didn't learn from Sean Payton or you learned from him, but but for some reason isn't taking any of that knowledge and applying it here to the Lions. So it's either you're just completely disregarding everything Sean Payton has taught you, and this man is probably a Hall of Fame coach in the league. He's been to the Super Bowl, always kind of, competitive every single year. The Saints are always in the playoffs. But Dan Campbell, you're not taking anything that you've learned away from that. So what are we doing? What are we doing, Dan Campbell? Please. So let's take a full look at his coaching history. Here we go. Started in 2010 as an offensive intern with the Dolphins. Then he went to the tight ends coach for 4 straight seasons, 5, 6 straight seasons, honestly. 2011, 12, 13, 14, he was a tight ends coach. And then in 2015, he got the interim head coaching job because we fired Joe Philbin. And then he never got the job after that. He went right back to the tight ends coach. So once again, not that impressive. Also went 5-7 that season. Not the greatest. Then he returns back to Miami for the tight ends coach in 2015, and then he goes to the Saints in 2016 as an assistant head coach / tight ends coach for 5 seasons with the Saints. And once again, the record is always great, but you can't tell me this is because of Dan Campbell on the squad now. Saints going 7-9 his first year, then 11-5, then 13-3, then 13-3, then 12-4. So once again, I mean, that's not Dan Campbell doing that. That's Drew Brees, Sean Payton. And then he finally gets a head coaching job with the Lions this year. So I just can't get behind the man. Nobody bought on this man as a head coach after the 2015 season when he was an interim head coach. Nobody kind of wanted to take a leap of faith. But now, since he learned from under Sean Payton for 5 years, now everybody wants to give him a chance. Well, not everybody. Only the Lions did, and that's still not a good franchise to kind of start your kind of coaching career on. But I just can't get behind him, folks. I'm sorry. I can't. His record is inflated, with every team he's been on. He's 98-78, but once again, it's inflated because these Saints years. I mean, once again, that's not Dan Campbell turning this team around. Now, Dan Campbell's a good tight ends coach. I would kind of say that. I've got no problem with him coaching the tight ends, but his kind of coaching style is not head coaching material, folks. Just tell me this. Have you seen Andy Reid? Have you seen Bill Belichick? Have you seen Sean Payton? Have you seen John Harbaugh? Have you seen Kyle Shanahan's a good head coach? You got to give him credit. He's been to two Super Bowls. You got to give him credit. Who else is a good head coach in this league? Who am I forgetting? Doug Peterson, solid. Have you seen any of those coaches do anything Dan Campbell has? Not a great look. So we'll see what he does, but I'm not buying into it, folks. I'm just gonna blatantly say it. I'm not buying into Dan Campbell at all. 0. So that's Dan Campbell. All right. The other thing we have to kind of talk about early here on is Jared Goff. He's their quarterback. He's their guy. How is Jared Goff looking? Because according to Sean McVay, he's not the guy. You're not that guy, pal. You're not that guy. Trust me. You're not that guy. That's Jared Goff. It's unfortunate, folks. But, Jared Goff got to a Super Bowl, floundered in it, and really has just, Sean Payton has just been chomping at the bit to get rid of this man. And now he finally has Matthew Stafford. And folks, I mean, everything that's coming out of the Rams is Sean McVay saying Super Bowl. Is Sean McVay saying Matthew Stafford's the greatest thing I've ever seen. It's that. Everyone's boasting, everyone's gushing on this Rams team. Nobody was gushing about this Rams team when it was Jared Goff at the helm. They're like, yeah, it's good, but they got Jared Goff at the helm. Yeah, this Rams team is absolutely great and they could win the Super Bowl, but they got Jared Goff at the helm. So Jared Goff paired up with Dan Campbell. I mean, Jared Goff wasn't even making Sean McVay work. And you're going to lead me to believe that Dan Campbell is going to make Jared Goff work? Yikes. Big yikes here, folks. I'm talking zoinkies. What is it? Zoinks from Scooby-Doo? Jinkies? Zoinks? It's all of them here, folks. It's all of the Scooby-Doo ad-libs mixed into one for this Lions team. Not great. So Jared Goff, let's just see what he's done. Can we get behind this man? So here we go. First season. Now I believe he had Jeff Fisher that first year. They go 0-7. He only started 7 games, 54% completion percentage. Absolutely abysmal, but it's his rookie year. We'll give him a little bit of a break. Year 2, a little bit better. Played 15 games, went 11-4, 62% completion percentage, 3,800 yards, 28 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Now, you get Sean McVay now. Everything's kind of being good. The team overall is good. But yeah, the record is good for 11-4. But Jared Goff's stats are just a little subpar here. And I mean, folks, we're kind of in this new age of where we're going to have to kind of change our numbers. The last kind of 2-3 seasons, the numbers have been increasing. So our kind of standpoint here is still even a little low, a little light on really what it should be. And we're going to figure out that number as this season progresses. But just the numbers that we like to see, Jared Goff's like on the light side of them, folks. The light of the light side that we are going to have to change the numbers to this season. So, second year, they went 11-4, but light numbers, 62% completion percentage. That's light, folks. We like 62 to 65, and he's at 62. So, a little light there. 3,800 yards. We want to see 4,000. He did do 2-to-1 to interception ratio, touchdown to interception ratio, which is real good. He actually did 4-to-1, which is really great. 28 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. That I can get behind. But every other number was a little low, a little light. Then in 2018, once again, real great records. 13-3. He threw for 64% completion percentage. Real solid right there. I love it. 4,600 yards. That's fantastic. 32 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. So 2-to-1. Very, very close to 3-to-1. So a really great year there. But then took a little bit of a step back the following year in 2019. Only went 9-7 this year. He threw for only 62% completion percentage again. He threw for 4,600 yards again. Fantastic, but the interceptions rose and the touchdowns dropped significantly. 22 touchdowns, 16 interceptions. That's not even 2-to-1. So we had one great year by Jared Goff, an outlier year, but now we're starting to kind of resort back to not great. And then just last season, 9-6 record. 9-6 record. 67% completion percentage. That's great, but 3,900 yards, 20 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. So, yeah, we have the record come down. We had the completion percentage go up. The yards come down. The touchdowns come down. The interceptions kind of come up a little bit. It's just like, it's not great here. Solid records. Overall, solid stats. I mean, he's throwing career 63%. I'll get behind that a little bit. But overall, that's what you were doing at your max with kind of offensive guru Sean McVay. Now, offensive guru Sean McVay narrative is going to be in question this season, seeing if he can get it working with Matthew Stafford and if he can kind of still win with Matthew Stafford. So that's going to be challenged. That narrative is going to be challenged this season. But at the end of the day, this is kind of Jared Goff's max potential. And Dan Campbell is nowhere near kind of even a good head coach where Sean McVay level is. So we can expect this production to come down from Jared Goff and not be as good as this kind of 2-year stretch in 2017, 2018 when they made the Super Bowl and all that, going 11-4 and 13-3. Now, I just want to quickly look at what he did in the postseason. Was this man putting up good numbers in the postseason? We know competition is harder in the postseason than it is the regular season. So, yeah, the regular season numbers are good, but what is these postseason numbers looking like? Is he getting it done in the playoffs? Let's quickly take a look. Year 1. Well, first year in the playoffs, 2017. First game against Atlanta, they lose 26-13. He only threw 53% completion percentage, 259 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks. But at 53% completion percentage, that's real bad, folks. Then we get 2018 year where they went to the Super Bowl. Game 1, they win 30-22. But once again, he only threw for 53% completion percentage, 186 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. That's not a good game. Defense carrying you, running game carrying you. Then game 2 of that playoff run. They beat the Saints 26-23. Close game. He threw for only 62% completion percentage, 297 yards. That's real solid. I'll give him that. 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Not the greatest. Then we get to the Super Bowl, and we all know how that went. They only put up 3 points. Absolutely trash. 50% completion percentage, 229 yards, 1 0 touchdowns, 1 pick. So once again, this is not great playoff numbers than just this season. Against the Seahawks, they win 30-20. He threw 47% completion percentage, trash, 155 yards, very light, 1 touchdown, no pick, not terrible. And then they go to Green Bay and get beat. He threw for a really great 77% completion percentage, but get this, only 174 yards. So on 21 completions, only 174 yards, dink and dunk, not getting it done. He did have 1 touchdown, 0 picks, not bad overall, but then you ended up losing by 2 possessions, 32-18, so not truly being that great. So overall, Jared Goff, even in the playoffs, is not great. So even if somehow the Lions get to the playoffs, Jared Goff is not going to be performing that well. So we can't really expect a great season overall from this Lions team just by the head coach and the quarterback. Don't think it's really going to mesh very well together. But let's just take a overall another look on what this Lions team was doing. So let's get up this Lions team. Last season, what did they do? And then we'll see how they kind of compared to all the other teams offensively and defensively last year to see if these other players, these other coaches can kind of make up for the lack of head coach and the lack of just kind of great quarterback play by Jared Goff. So Lions last year went 5-11. 5-11. Obviously not great. We're adding an extra game this season, so we'll see how they fare there. So Lions went 5-11 last season. Let's see where they just kind of stacked up on offense and defensive side of the ball. So let's start here with offense. Where was this Lions offense ranked? I'm just going to start at the bottom. I'm just going to start at the bottom and work our way up to the top. It'll be kind of faster that way. So offensively, this Lions team was ranked actually a little bit higher than I thought they would be. 20th overall, not bad. They put up 5,600 yards. The average was 5,700, so slightly below average in just yards. Points, they put up 377 points, which is slightly below the average of 396. I mean, it was better than the Jets, who only put up 243 points. The Giants only put up 280. So not bad there. We'll give them that credit. So just kind of just slightly below average so far as this team. Passing, they put up 4,100 passing yards. Now, that was above the average of 3,800, so that's above average. That's something that we can buy into maybe a little bit. Rushing yards, they rushed for 1,400. I'll round it up to 1,500. It's 1,499. So 1,500 rushing yards, and the average was 1,900. So very, very well below the rushing average there. So we can blame that on offensive line, and we can blame that on running back, and we'll see which one is truly it. So not the greatest offensively, below average. Now let's see where they ranked defensively. Do they have a good defense? Is that something we can buy into? The Lions defense. Let's quickly take a look. Once again, I'm going to start from the bottom and work our way up to the top. And there they are, very, very dead last at the bottom defensively. So Lions ranked 32nd defensively. Let's see why. They gave up 519 points, folks, the most by far, and the average was only 396. You gave up 100 and plus more points defensively? Jeez, you're not winning games like that, baby. So trash defense. They gave up a total of 6,700 yards, the most. That is the most, folks. 6,700 yards, the most given up. The average was 5,700. So you gave up 100 more points. You gave up 1,000 more yards. Absolutely not great. Is this first downs given up? They gave up 415 first downs. That's most by far. By far, the average was 347 first downs. Once again, very, very close to like 80 plus first downs given up. Then the average, trash. Passing yards, they gave up 4,500 passing yards. The average was 3,800. Trash there. They gave up 2,100 rushing yards. The average was only 1,900, so slightly below average there, but not bad. So their rushing defense is the best thing about this team, and it's still not the greatest. So overall, offensively, defense is big problem here. Offense was just meh last season. All right, so that's not great here. Offense is trash, defense is trash, head coach is trash. Not the recipe for success, if you ask me. But let's see what they did in this offseason. Did they get better? Did they fix all these problems? Let's quickly take a look. So let's see what they did in the offseason. Here we go. Which team are we looking for? The Lions, the bad Lions here. All right, here we go. If I can click on it. Here we go. Detroit Lions. Let's see what they did in the offseason. Let's see who they lost. Let's see who they got. So here we go. Off-season additions. They get Alex and Anzalone, who was a linebacker for the Saints last season. They bring in Brashad Perryman, a wide receiver. I believe he's pretty tall. Brashad Perryman might be like 6'3". Let me see really quickly, because y'all know I'm big on the height. I want to see tall wide receivers. Let's see what Brashad Perryman is doing. He's 6'2", so solid height there. Never caught for 1,000 yards, which is a little concerning. That's not tier 1 in our mind. So a solid tier 2 wide receiver. We'll see if he can come alive. Spent his time with the Ravens, the Browns, the Bucks, and the Jets. So once again, kind of passed around the league a little bit. All right, they bring in Charles Harris, an edge rusher. They bring in Corn Elder, a cornerback. Interesting. Is he going to be a starting cornerback? I've never heard of Corn Elder, folks. So let's bring up this Lions depth chart very quickly. See where they have him ranked at, and just see who these Lions corners are anyway. So they got Jeff Okudah and Amani Urowe. Butchered that name. I apologize, truly. He only had 1 interception, 7 pass defenses, no forced fumbles, just an all right. He is 6'2", so that's pretty solid by him. I will get behind that. So Jeff Okudah's real solid. Let's take a quick look at what he was been doing, shutting down these receivers. Jeff Okudah. Love this website, playerprofile.com. We can see what these corners are doing against the wide receiver. So he didn't play every game last season, missed like the last couple weeks of the season. Unfortunate. Let's see what he was doing against these wide receivers. So, okay. Against Marquez Valdes-Scantling, 4 of 7 for 81 yards. A little bit of a burn there. Against DeAndre Hopkins, 10 of 12 for 126 yards. He had an interception, but still a little bit of a burn there. Against Emmanuel Sanders, 1 of 2 for -2 yards. That's a real good lockup. Against Calvin Ridley, 7 of 10 for 68 yards. That's not bad there by Calvin Ridley. He's real great. Against Justin Jefferson, 3 of 3 for 60 yards, kind of a burn there. Against DJ Moore, 6 of 6 for 83 yards, kind of a burn there. So he's not a true lockdown, not even against kind of tier 2 wide receivers. So not the greatest there. He's definitely going to have to be a little bit better. Let me see what this Corn Man is doing, folks. Corn Elder. What? What is he? What do we got? Corn Elder, he's like 5th string corner, so can't even be good. Okay. What else do we get? Who else do they bring in? They bring in Jamal Williams, a rusher, running back. They get Quentin Dunbar at a cornerback position. Fantastic. They have him as in the 2nd string. Real interesting there. All right. And then what else do we got? They got Romeo Okoro. They re-sign him, and they get Tyrell Williams, another wide receiver, who is now their main wide receiver. Tyrell Williams is their number 1 wide receiver. Real interesting. He's 6'4", so hopefully they can do something with that great height that they've got here on this Lions team. All right, now let's see who they lost. They lost Duran Harmon, the safety. They lost Gerard Davis, a linebacker. They lost Kenny Galladay, their best wide receiver that they have. They lost Marvin Jones Jr., probably their 2nd best wide receiver that they had. And then they lost an offensive guard, Ode Aboshi. So their offensive line gets a little bit worse there. Alrighty, not great. Not a lot of great pickups kind of compared to who they lost, really. They gain Corn Elder, but they lose Kenny Galladay. Yeah, what are we doing here? All right. Now let's take a quick look at their offensive line, and then we'll see what they did in the draft, and then we'll see what they just did overall in the offseason. But I want to see where their offensive line is ranked, just so we can see where their rushing game is going to go, because I am a decent fan of DAndre Swift. I thought he kind of got his shit together in the back half of the season. Little struggles early, but he was a rookie, so we gave him, a little bit of a benefit of the doubt. And now you bring in DAndre Swift back again year 2, and then you got Jamal Williams rushing behind him, a solid rusher as well. Only 500 yards last season, but I mean, he's the number 2 there. So we can kind of, he's always been the number 2 running back for this kind of Green Bay team. So not a bad kind of addition here to push DAndre Swift. So the running game could be solid. It's something I think should be kind of, heavily relied upon. Kind of make the games go a little bit quicker. Don't throw the ball too much because of Jared Goff a little bit. And just kind of let your defense dictate the game while you chew out this clock rushing the ball. So if this offensive line is solid, maybe we can buy this Lions team a little bit more. So let's see where this Lions offensive line ended up ranking at the end of last season compared to everybody else. We are kind of taking Pro Football Reference's word for it, not 100% as the gospel, but just a nice little kind of benchmark that we can kind of relate to. So they have the Detroit Lions as 13th best offensive line in the league. That's not bad. Let's see what they say about it. Another year, another season of improved play from Frank Ragnow, who is asserting himself as one of the league's top young interior offensive linemen. His 80.3 PFF grade in 2020 ranked second at the center position, and it came behind career-high grades both in pass protection and as run blocking. The fact that he played through a fractured throat late in the season, geez Louise, I didn't even know you can do that. Shout out to him. Only adds to the notion that this is a guy you don't want to mess with in the trenches. Truly that. If this man is playing with a fractured throat, I don't want to know what this man can do. I'm not playing with the fractured throat. My throat is fractured. I am in bed resting. I can't talk, coach. I can't even talk. My throat is fractured. I didn't even know my throat could fracture, but here we are. Me in bed eating soup. I'm sorry I couldn't be out there, coach. All right. There were shuffling pieces along the line this season, but the play from both Ragnow and left tackle Taylor Decker, fresh off of a contract extension this offseason, helped stabilize the group. The Lions will be hoping for a second-year jump in Jonah Jackson at guard in 2021 to help take the unit to the next level. We all know that with their first pick in this year's draft, they go out and get Penei Sewell. So once again, shoring up that offensive line. So this offensive line for Detroit could be real solid, folks. This could be a real solid line here, which, improves the rushing game, protects Jared Goff, all of that, which makes, Dan Campbell's life a little bit easier when you're not having your quarterback sacked, and that's not the main focus of every single press conference. What are you going to do about the line? Did Jared Goff get hit too much? Are you going to keep running the ball? What are you doing? The line is not holding up. So this line could be the best thing for this Lions team. And if Dan Campbell just takes this slowly but surely, one game at a time, they could be able to kind of move the ball decently because of this great offensive line play. So let's go to their draft now and just quickly take a look at what they were doing for the entire draft. Like we know, their first round pick, let's see what they were doing for the rest of the draft. So let's bring up Detroit Lions here. If I can find their squad, here we go. Alrighty, Penei Sewell. I didn't love the pick. I thought it was a little bit of an overreach. I'm not 100% sold on Penei Sewell. We kind of looked at him. He was like, all right. It was like kind of average. It's not like he was kind of blowing my mind. And when we were kind of looking at him in our kind of draft shows, when we were looking at a draft prospect every single day. So Penei Sewell, I'm not going to fully get behind him. He is kind of the highest graded offensive lineman in this year's draft. I thought it was a little bit of an overreach at 7th overall, though. So they get Penei Sewell, offensive tackle. Is he in their starting rotation? I believe he is. Yeah, they're moving him to right tackle because they don't want to move Taylor Decker. So Penei Sewell, he was left tackle. Going to have to learn the right side. We'll see if he can do that. So the offensive line is looking real solid here, folks. All right, what else do we get here? They get a defensive tackle with the second pick and the third round pick. Interesting there. Third round, they also get another corner. So they had two third round picks, excuse me. One on a defensive tackle, one on the corner. Fourth round, they go wide receiver, a 6-foot wide receiver. Okay, nothing special. Then in the fourth round, they also get Derek Barnes, a linebacker. And then in the 7th round with their last pick, they get a running back just to kind of shore it up a little bit. So they go heavy on offensive tackle, defensive tackle, and cornerback with their kind of, anything out of the top 3 rounds is really nothing great. Honestly, anything out of the first top 10 picks is nothing great. So that's just how I see it. But they kind of focus on their linemen and their defensive pressure and their defensive corner. So we'll see how they do here. Let's see what their overall total defense is looking like here with their starters. Trey Flowers, Jamie Collins, that's real great to have on your linebacking core. Jeff Okudah, solid there. What else do we get? Pass rushers. We got Levi. That's their draft pick. Levi Onwuzurike and Michael Brockers, their other defensive end. What did he do last season? 5 sacks, not terrible. So we'll see if he can kind of get great production as well. So overall, we're really going to have to see true veteran leadership from Trey Flowers and Jamie Collins. Definitely got to get it done here. lead the young guns. And then the offensive lineman up front doing it all for DAndre Swift. I can get behind DAndre Swift a little bit. Let's go to his stats very quickly. I just want to kind of take a look at his back half of the season stats because I believe they kind of started to increase a little bit. So like we said, only 521 yards rushing. He did have 357 receiving. So this could be a solid kind of dual threat running back in the league, passing and rushing. So not bad. Alrighty. Where did his best game come from? 116 rushing yards in week 5. Kind of got off to a little bit of a slow start. First 3 games, 8 yards rushing, 12 yards rushing, 0 yards rushing, 22 yards rushing. And then he hit the breakout game of 116 and then kind of returned to turtle form of 27 yards and 1 yard on 6 attempts. That's real not great. But then started to kind of hit his stride kind of at the back end of the season. 64 yards, 81 yards rushing, and then goes 3 weeks inactive, and then goes for 24, 67, 45, and 54. So overall, not terrible. Trying to just being real solid at the back end of the season. But we definitely have to see a little bit of an upgrade over this, and we can expect that from a year kind of 2 leap a little bit. Catching the ball, receiving the ball, anything good, kind of once again, kind of got his form. Well, he was always really solid. He had 60 yards receiving week 2, which was his second highest. His highest was 68 week 9. And then the last 4 games coming off the inactive list, 26 yards receiving, 15, 25, 16. So once again, just an overall all right player. Where did he go? He went second round. Okay, that's a little bit light for a second round pick. Little tad light. So we need to see a little bit of a solid step up here from DAndre Swift in the offensive line game. Should be able to help that a little bit. All right, wide receivers. They get Tyrell Williams, Brashad Perryman. Brashad Perryman with 500 yards last season. Quintez Cephas, what did he do? 349 yards. He's 6'1", so they got some nice height here. Just not really any A1 tier 1 wide receivers. They do have TJ Hockenson, a solid tight end at 6'5", 723 yards last season. Y'all know we are big at tight end university, and I am almost certain he was invited there, so we can give them a couple extra bonus points at the tight end position. But let's quickly take a double check. I'm like 99% certain he was, but I'll go to this article. Y'all know I love bringing up this article right here, showing all the tight ends that were invited to Tight End University. And let's look for our man TJ Hockenson, and here he is. So hopefully you learned a little bit from Darren Waller, learned a little bit from Travis Kelce, George Kittle, and can improve his game a little bit here. So, we'll see if Jared Goff kind of, locks up TJ Hockenson and gives him a good year production-wise receiving the ball, because we're talking about 1,000-yard tight ends now, folks. How crazy. That's the new generation. If you're not catching 1,000 yards as a tight end, you're not making a true impact. So, TJ Hockenson, 700 yards last season, real great. Let's see if we can give him a little bit more. So overall, just truly a rebuilding team. This is the last thing we have to look at for our team refresher. Let's see what Bleacher Report is just saying on the overall offseason of this Lions team, and then we'll go through their schedule and see how many wins we can give them. So here we go. Key additions, obviously Jared Goff, Jamal Williams, Tyrell Williams, Brashad Perryman, edge rusher Romeo Okoro, Michael Brockers, Quentin Dunbar, cornerback. Key draft additions, obviously, like we said, Penei Sewell. They list all their draft additions because they are so key, because they have no players. Key departures, like we said, Matthew Stafford, Kenny Golladay, Marvin Jones Jr., Jamal Agnew, Jesse James, defensive tackle Danny Shelton, linebacker Gerard Davis, cornerback Desmond Trufant, Justin Coleman, another corner. So truly just losing all their good pieces here. Really nothing left. The 2 linebackers are solid kind of still pieces here that were with the Lions for at least like a year, maybe even 2 years under another trash coach, and Patrick, what's his name? Blanking on the name. We all know who he is. He's trash. Patrick something? I want to say Patrick. Patrick is kind of sounding right. Kind of. Not his first name. Dan Patrick? Not Dan Patrick. Who? Man, it's going to kill me. Trash Beard Man. Y'all know. Okay, but here we go. Little quick write-up here of the offseason of the Lions. Here we go. It might have been time for a fresh start after 12 seasons and no playoff victories with Stafford at quarterback for the Detroit Lions. But Jared Goff, ? The dude has completely lost it ever since bombing in the Super Bowl 2 years ago, and his and Stafford's dead cap charge total $29.7 million this year and $31.2 million in 2022. Beyond that, the Lions downgrade by replacing Kenny Golladay and Jones with Williams and Perryman. Yeah, big downgrade there. Jared Goff, I'm not 100% selling him just quite yet, but yeah, the wide receivers, absolutely. Although St. Brown was a steal in round 4 and could help that receiving core immediately, that offensive line admittedly looks stacked now that Sewell is joining Tyler Decker and Frank Ragnow and Halapavieta and Jonah Jackson, but it remains tough to get excited about the offense in general. Exactly kind of what we've been saying all show. The defense at least gets Okurara back and brings in Brockers to work with Trey Flowers on the edge, and they add a bunch of bulk and ferocity to that unit with 3 day 2 selections up front and a corner. But the jury is still very much out on those guys because they are rookies, and there are still major questions about the linebacking core and secondary. Altogether, this Lions team doesn't look significantly better than the one that won just 5 games in 2020. They give them a C grade for their offseason moves. Alrighty, so we'll see what Jared Goff can do with these kind of tier 2 wide receivers. I mean, he was working with Cooper Kupp and Reynolds there with the Rams, who really aren't tier 1 wide receivers, but they're definitely better than what this Lions team has. He's been working with kind of Darrell Henderson, Cam Akers in the running game, which is definitely better than DAndre Swift. So just overall, Jared Goff is just going to a worse overall team, and we are going to need him to step it up. Is that going to happen? I don't really think so. Plus, on top of that, you have just a really subpar defense. No real big names overall. The offensive line is the best thing about this team, and Dan Campbell is an unproven head coach that I just don't buy into at all, and I frankly don't see how players can buy into him and what he does and what he says. So with all that being said, let's go through their schedule and see how many wins we can possibly see this Lions team getting. It's 17 games this season. They've gone 0-16 before. Will they set the record again? Let's take a quick look. All right, here we go. Week 1 against the 49ers. I can't give them a win there. No way. It's, pretty much Jimmy G who's going to be healthy. This 49ers team should be healthy week 1, which was kind of the knocks on them the last 2 seasons. Definitely last season. So 49ers should be healthy, and I can't see the Lions team competing. They are at home, which is the best silver lining for this kind of matchup, but I can't give them a win there. Week 2 at Green Bay, yeah, right. On Monday Night Football, yeah, right. Dan Campbell, let's see how you prepare this team for a nationally televised game, because I think they're going to get absolutely rolled there. Rolled. So 2 straight losses. Then they're back at home Week 3 against the Ravens. Once again, it's just that defense stopping Lamar Jackson. I don't think so. Jared Goff throwing against those 2 great corners in the Ravens, and Marlon Humphrey, and I'm blanking on the other, but they're both great. Can't see that happening either. Then you go in Chicago, a winnable game, but I'm going to like whatever quarterback is out there for the Bears. I'm sure it's going to be Justin Fields by week 4, and the defense is getting after the offense of the Lions, so can't really see them beating the Bears. Then they go on the road against the Vikings. Not really a great chance there. This Vikings team has a real great offense that really should be able to handle the Lions, no problem. Then you go to the Bengals, and this is probably they're at home for the Bengals, so I'm going to give them a win there against the Bengals. This is a winnable game. I'm not 100% sold on Joe Burrow. I really think Tua's going to kind of pass him overall. Justin Herbert freaking skyrocketed right past Joe Burrow, but I'm not 100% sold on Joey B and just the overall team makeup of this Bengals team with their defense as well. So I'm going to give the Lions a win here against the Bengals. Then they go on the road against the Rams. That's going to be a game that Sean McVay must win, and he will win that game. Can't give him a win there. Then they're at home against the Eagles. Winnable game going into the bye. Very, very winnable game here. It's going to all depend on how well this Eagles team is offensively, and I just don't think it may quite be there. So I'm actually going to give them a win against the Eagles as well right before the bye. Coming off of the bye, they have to go and face the Steelers on the road. That's a big loss there. That Steelers defense should kind of just clown the Lions offense. Then they go and face the Browns in Cleveland. Once again, I don't think the defense of the Lions will be able to keep up with this Browns team. Then they go and face the Bears again, this time at home. Don't think they'll win that game either. It's Thanksgiving Day. Dan Campbell, primetime Thanksgiving Day game. Is he going to get his team ready to rock? I just don't see it. Then they go and face the Vikings again, this time at home. Once again, I just think the offense is too good for their defense. Then they go to Mile High against the Broncos. Once again, that Broncos defense should be able to smother the offense pretty solidly. Then they go and face the Cardinals. You're not stopping that offense. I don't care what you say. Then you go and face the Falcons, and it's Kyle Pitts. I mean, who's going to stop Kyle Pitts? Nobody. Nobody can stop Kyle Pitts on this Lions team. And then you're also on the road, so I can't give them a win there. Then they go and face the Seahawks in Seattle. Yeah, good luck there with Jamal Adams roaming around. He's looking at Jared Goff like chopped liver. And then you finish off the season against the Packers. Once again, not a win unless the Packers are just resting everybody because they already locked up that number 1 seed. So, not a real great schedule here. Real tough opponents. No real softballs. Bengals, Eagles, that's your best chance at a win. Maybe you split against the Bears. Maybe you split against the Vikings. Maybe you can beat the Broncos and the Falcons for 2 more wins. I'm just not seeing it here with Dan Campbell, folks. So, I'm going to call it 2-15. 2-15 for this Lions team, and I would say probably 5 wins max. I can't really see them doing any more than 5 wins, and those other wins, obviously, like we said, probably splitting against the Bears, maybe splitting against the Vikings, and maybe picking up a win against the Broncos or the Falcons, but I can't really see them beating any other team. So let's write this up in our notes here, our list. The Lions, 2-15, unfortunately, max 5 wins. And now, where do we put this Lions team? At the very bottom. I'm definitely taking the Saints team over the Lions. Lions will probably end up being our very, very bottom of the barrel team, just because I can't. What am I going to trust an offensive line to get the entire wins, to get the entire season done? When has that ever happened? Can't get behind it. So Lions 2-15. Unfortunate. So tomorrow we'll spin the wheel, do a new team, and get our season refresher on that. Alrighty, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We are back tomorrow live noon Eastern.